Hi, this is Dr. Amrita, and you're listening to the Doctor's Creative Diary podcast. It's 2023, and this is season 2 of the podcast. As you well know, this podcast came third in India's first Voice of Anchor challenge hosted by Spotify India. The podcast and me, we were featured along with the other winners on the Miss Malini blog. Read all about the Voice of Anchor challenge on Miss Malini's blog. You will find the blog post link in the description of this podcast. While I started podcasting in 2018, blogging has been a longer journey. When life gives you lemons, you can do many things, but one of them is lemonade. If you are lonely, you can have lots of problems, but one result is you can start writing. Today I'm going to talk about the 13 tough blogging lessons I learned in my 8 years of blogging journey. Research says most writers start writing when they don't have enough people to talk to. Growing up, I never planned on writing as a career or as a hobby. Never. I loved reading, but writing was nowhere on the horizon. Having few people to talk to can incite that writing gene, and maybe that did happen to me back in 2014. Being the mommy of a 2-year-old living in a small town with limited adult social interaction can affect you in different ways. With that, I lost touch with people close to me. It was a difficult time, but the inner confusion spurted forth through the keyboards on my phone. For the first 2 years of my blogging journey, I wrote on my phone with the baby napping in my lap. Using the laptop was a luxury I didn't have time for. The baby used to scratch out the keyboard keys. When you can't help yourself, sometimes helping others helps us in ways beyond the usual. Writing helpful content in the health wellness sphere was my way of doing more of what I did professionally but online. It was one way of giving back for all the help I received. Plus, it was possible from home, at any time, while building a possible resource for the future and a possible income. I didn't know about SEO, keyword research. I was a non-native English speaker, but I had a passion and the elusive ikigai, which I didn't know about back then. Writing in Bengali, which is my mother tongue, was not an option on the phone back then. I am planning on doing something about that in this year. I published my first non-fiction book, The Fruits for Life, the first in the Nutrition Secret series. That went on to help create a different avenue of opportunity. I was now also an author, but that was 2017. It was a turning point, and I'm grateful to the self-publishing world of KDP for making this possible. Then came the podcast in 2018, and there was no looking back. The blogging journey was influenced by Pat Flynn and Amy Lynn Andrews' blogs. But the podcasting leap was solely because of the Smart Passive Income podcast. The dream of future passive income when you are actively working today was inspiring. Then there was a surprise win for my second podcast with India's first Voice of Anchor in 2022, which I just mentioned. It was co-hosted by Anchor and Spotify India, which made me brave enough to push for the launch of my first fiction audiobook. It was from the Krishna Mishra Mystery series. You will find a link to that also in the description of this podcast. None of this happened in isolation, and everything happens for a reason. But how exactly did I grow my blog? What worked and what didn't? What do I wish I knew? The lessons from 8 years of blogging were learned through sweat and grime and loads of time. Learning, doing, making mistakes, giving up and then trying again. Number 1 lesson was writing a helpful content with the audience persona in mind. That's crucial. Google's new algorithm about EEAT works just towards that. Write helpful content with your own expertise and experience and authority. Then you can build trust. Write the answers to questions people search for. Google's helpful content update says just that. Educate, bridge the knowledge gap, and level the playing field. Whether people will learn and what they do after learning is another matter altogether. My blog, podcasts, and YouTube channel are all a part of the content ecosphere. I believe in education to level the playing field. That's why my content channels are all named Health Wealth Bridge. Health, wealth, and the bridge to it is education. Don't forget search engine optimization. That's number 2 on the things that I learned. But don't let SEO weigh you down. Too much research can be boring and mind numbing. SEMrush and Yoast have several free courses, so keep learning, read a lot, always. Read the book Content Inc. That will help you plan your content better. Number 3 was writing with keywords in mind. This one is tough, but you can do better if you do remember to find the keywords important for that particular blog post. You should always have a unique take even when you're writing with keywords in mind. That will help you make your writing better. But this won't happen overnight. And even now, sometimes I just write opinion posts when I want to just write and not research keywords. That's the good part of being a blogger. You are a writer first, a change maker possibly, a teacher, a social activist, anything you want to be. What's important is your intent. But keywords are crucial if you want to reach the people who actually need your help. Number 4 is internal linking. It is an often ignored piece of back-end work that can really help Google index your content. Just be careful about what you're linking to and avoid keyword competition within your own blog post. That's called keyword cannibalization and should be avoided at all costs. Check out Yoast's blog post about keyword cannibalization and internal link smartly. That happened to me once and I had to go back and correct my mistakes. That takes more time until and unless you do it right the first time around. Number 5 is sharing on social media. That will help even if you're just starting out. Share with your friends, family, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you do have a little audience. Build on that. But don't build your entire blogging business on a social platform whose algorithm or anything else can change at the push of a button. Rented land is rented land. Schedule posts to avoid burnout. Did you know Jetpack Premium has a scheduler and will now allow multiple sharing of blog posts from within your WordPress dashboard? Try it out and let me know how useful it is. Canva also lets you schedule posts from within the Canva dashboard. That can be used even on the Canva app itself. I am a procrastinator when it comes to scheduling and I forever struggle to remember to do it just right. I also forget to share multiple times on my social media and sometimes forget entirely about sharing. That always works against my own blog posts. So I'll tell you to remember to share socially, but don't spam. That's also an important thing you should remember. Number 6 is start creating a podcast. You can start with a platform like Anchor around your pillar post to see how it works for you. Similarly, maybe you could create a YouTube channel and focus on creating YouTube videos, maybe. The important thing to remember is you should focus on one content platform initially before you jump onto everything, because that's going to be a problem. If you are an audio person, start with a podcast. If you're a video person, start with a YouTube channel. These should accompany your blog, which is supposed to be self-hosted. That's when your entire content universe is going to work for you. If you're the only one managing all sides of your blog, then having a plan for each content type becomes even more important. Repurposing smartly according to the platform is the best way to extend the shelf life of your blog posts, and that way you reach and help more people too. There are options for self-hosting your audio and video too. But do that only when you are willing to go the extra mile. I'm still not there, and maybe that's for another podcast in the future. Number 7 is write the book or blog the book. Whatever works for you. Having your own book to share on an in-depth topic you're passionate about will really help you become an authority in that field. Remember, I'm talking about non-fiction work. It is also a cool way to get you more brand work and opportunities. You can self-publish the book or even offer it as an opt-in freebie. Either way, it will help you. I have a collection of non-fiction and cozy mysteries in Kindle Unlimited under Dr. Amrita Basu pen name. These are free to read. You can check them out. Start a newsletter. That's my 8th tip. And this is where I am also still struggling. I regret not doing it in a more dedicated manner. I regret not starting sooner. I did start back in 2018, but life was too busy back then, and I was barely managing. But now I'm back to sending newsletters to my fledgling list. You should start early. That's my advice. Don't make the mistake I made. Number 9. Don't compare yourself with anyone. It's soul sucking, and it will definitely stop you from creating. Ignore the noise and the fear of missing out. Do what matters to you in the way you want. Do it with what you have where you are. These sound cliched, but these all actually helped me do more with the time I did have. Number 10 is be persistent in content creation. That's very, very important. Be part of platforms like IntelliFluence, BlogChatter. That does help brands find you more easily. You should also remember that sometimes less is more. Having a lot of sponsored content on your blog, your podcast, or your YouTube channel may actually drive away your audience. It's always audience first. It's the best way to help support the work you do. Reading a lot will help you learn. Writing a lot will help you build the muscle memory and confidence which is needed to grow in your blogging journey, your content creation journey. Number 11 is be mindful of your why. It's also known as the mission statement. Every content piece is a chance to help another person. That's my mission. And if this helps you, I would love it if you subscribe to my newsletter. Remember, very important thing. Every blog post, every content piece you write should also have its own mission statement. Why are you writing it? As Mary Forleo says, you should have one reason and one message in that blog post. Don't confuse the issue. If you try to put in too many things, it will definitely not be very helpful. Number 12 is rehashing content without your unique take is a disservice to your reader. So remember to always create with your reader in mind. Your time and their time should never be wasted. Number 13 is accepting new technology and marketing methods. That will help your mission and vision. Whatever you do, never forget to have fun while exploring the creative playground. What helped me continue creating content? I wanted to live my life, not die trying to prove a point. Blogging was my part-time income. I continued working as a private practitioner full-time. I love being a doctor, and the flexibility of being self-employed is addictive, even if challenging. But blogging and content creation helped me spread my wings. It also helped me have fun while always helping people in ways I never dreamt possible. That's the reason that keeps me going. So if there's one thing that you should take away from this podcast is, as a blogger, your biggest power and talent is your own voice, your own experience. Don't let go of that. Experiment, try new things, learn every day and implement what you learn in your own way. You will learn from everything and everyone, but choose with care because certain things you don't want in your head. Now I'm sounding like a typical mom, which I am, but information that enters your brain is as crucial as the food which enters your body. So have filters and virus scans applied to your creative brain. That will help you blog for long and well. Have fun living and writing. It's your gift to the world of words, sound, and moving pictures in your own way. You assume that your online diary will be maintained on the server even when you have traveled to other world adventures. Whatever happens, have fun living and writing. At the end of the day, we strive to be relevant and do things that help us. Blogging lets you overcome the fear of writing down your thoughts. You learn to organize your thoughts, especially as a non-writer, that's a non-professional writer. I only wrote prescriptions before I started writing on my blog. This was very helpful for me because blogging helped me put the words meaningfully one after the another. I had no aspirations about my writing talent or wild dreams of writing as a profession or as a side hobby even. I simply didn't think that was for me. The biggest surprise was how much I actually enjoyed writing and how happy that makes me feel. Even now, blogging in the professional sense requires keyword research, an eye for on-page SEO stuff. But the storytelling, which forms the crux of blogging, needs your authenticity. It can happen with you letting go of the tight leash of emotions. That can cause a lot of trouble. So remember, you have to start by being your authentic self on paper, because when you're trying to be somebody else, your reader will always know. I wrote all I learned blogging in my book, Starting a Successful Blog. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. It's helpful not because I say so, but because Amazon made it a part of the Prime Reader program multiple times. I enjoyed sharing what I knew. If you follow me on Twitter, that's also some place where I share what I really like blogging. Don't forget to check out my book, Starting a Successful Blog. You will find the link in the description of the podcast. Since you have listened this far, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm Dr. Amrita. I'm an ENT and head and neck surgeon, and I love balancing the left and the right brain. The concept of equality of healthcare access, right to quality education, digital democracy, and bootstrapping entrepreneurship are my thing. These all sound like hocus pocus and maybe just that. Whatever it is, you will know all about it in the podcast series that I have on this podcast and on my Health Wealth Bridge by Dr. Amrita podcast. On that podcast, I share my professional expertise about health topics. If you want to know more about me, check out the description box of this podcast to find the About Me link. There you will find everything I have been up to since 2014. The website I started in 2014, and in 2018 I started my first podcast. In 2021 December, this podcast was launched. In 2014, when I had started my website, I was tired of the mindless online shopping while putting my 2-year-old to sleep. I wanted a chance to do more than just be a consumer, an opportunity to share my professional knowledge and personal experience as a doctor. It's also a blueprint of my journey towards, hopefully, financial freedom, trying different things. Some work, some teach, and others are like secrets revealed. I was previously working at a medical college, but now I am self-employed as a private practitioner. Being the wife of a pediatrician, I could skip a lot of the headaches of doctor's visits. My husband is also behind a lot of the content planning and writing. Health Wealth Bridge is a website by Dr. Amrita Basu and Dr. Abhijit Mishra. All the medical content is either written by us or written by another medical professional or edited by us. We believe in improving public health care for information using digital medium to make it accessible to all. The Doctor's Creative Diary podcast was my way of spreading wellness through creative means. Many people think the right and the left brain don't work together, but it does. You need both of your brains to work together. You need more of art, more of science in your life to work together. When I'm talking about both of your brain, I actually meant both of your cerebral hemispheres. We really need to work with everything we have to live better. That's why podcasting is another wonderful way to reach your ears. Thank you for being part of the Doctor's Creative Diary podcast. You were listening to Dr. Amrita on the Doctor's Creative Diary podcast. hosted on Anchor.